if you're joining this live, thank you very much for staying tuned. I want to say a very big thank you to everybody that has been following me for quite a while. I appreciate this. Okay, let me just quickly turn on the lights. Good. Yes, we are good. So let me know where you're joining this live broadcast from. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How are you today? Um, Let me know where you're joining us from. I'm super glad to be here, and I want to say thank you in case you're joining us. This is also going to be another an insightful topic today. We're going to be talking about how to avoid unnecessary real estate investments. That sounds a little bit harsh, but obviously, the truth will definitely prevail. So let me just know where you're joining us from. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Um, so I want to just quickly share this broadcast with some of my. Um, okay, I think I've uploaded it. So in case you're joining this live session, let me know where you're joining us from. It's important I know. All right. Good afternoon. All right. I want to quickly say a very big thank you to everybody that has been following us on this platform. I really don't take your patience and everything you have been doing for granted. In case you are coming across this channel, just do well to double tap, give us a like, and share these broadcasts. Okay. Let us also know where you're joining us from. Good afternoon. Um, do I still need to introduce myself? Okay, right. Let me just do that. I don't want to believe that everybody knows me. So we're going to be discussing um, very important thing that will be of significant relevance, okay, to everybody that is watching. So in case you are watching, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us. And I also want to apologize for starting late. I've been to site today. It's a rainy, rainy day here. And so let's just quickly go and say, okay, we have quite some people on ground. All right. So one of the things I've been doing for time past, basically, is that I have been doing a lot of live sessions. For those who have been following me, I prefer to come live more than I record and, of course, upload video on YouTube. And this live session basically will give my viewers, my real estate investors, an opportunity to ask questions. So sometimes I mostly tag this live session as no holds bars. I tagged it as no bars because this live session gives you an opportunity to ask questions. You can, seek clarifications on anything that may appear to be, not clear to you. And one of the reasons why I decided to tag this particular episode on how to avoid unnecessary real estate investment basically is due to the fact that I have, for some time now, I have been forced, okay, or don't let me use the word forced, I have been mandated to intervene, okay, in some real estate investments that some of my investors have done here in Lagos, Nigeria. And from discovery and some of the things we've been able to unravel, we found out basically that some investments were needless. According to my own perception, they are needless. And let me quickly say, everybody obviously is entitled to their opinion. As far as I'm concerned, I consider them to be needless investment. But however, I'll say this. So for some of us who might be coming, seeing this video for like, this is Property Matters live session. And basically, I just talk about everything you need to know about real estate investment. I've talked extensively on title documentation. I've also talked extensively on different aspects of real estate. So in case you're coming across this particular YouTube channel for the first time, thank you. Thank you for joining. And of course, I appreciate making out time to be part of this. At the end of this live session, you also have the opportunity to ask questions. You can drop your questions on the comment section, or you can send me a direct WhatsApp, message on also this, and of course I'll be responding to some of those questions. And in case you want to do any form of real estate investment in the Bejuleki, on the mainland, on the island, anywhere, you definitely want to work with us. We have some, number of experiences and of course success stories that we have recorded in this industry. So you are free to work with us. And of course, our website is also active at www.kingscrossproperty.com. I think I forgot to mention that. So today let's talk about how to avoid unnecessary real estate investments. And let me start by defining what unnecessary real estate investment can be. And one of the reasons why I'm going to be talking extensively on this is due to the fact that we have had different unpleasant circumstances, that have happened. I've seen, real estate investors put money in real estate investments that turn out to be catastrophic. Please pardon me. I want to shift the light a little bit. Okay. All right. So I've seen, several instances of, investors putting their real estate investment or buying an investment that turns out to have, will I say a catastrophic, because I have to be very, very mindful of my choice of words, because dictions basically is very, very important. And today I'm going to be talking about how to avoid all this kind of unforeseen circumstances. So let's start by saying, what is an unnecessary real estate investment? An unnecessary real estate investment is an investment that turns out to be a regret. I can recall vividly that a lot of diasporan investors have bought real estate, and many of them today, wish they never, bought those properties. And the sad thing, or the sad part basically, is that some of the companies, that have sold this investment to diasporan or Nigerians anywhere they have across the world, don't have any form of remorse over this. And the basic thing is that these guys, okay, are still active in the industry. So it's not about your interests. It's not about you getting, the actual value for what you have paid for. The major thing basically that is very, very paramount to some of these guys is just the money, the money, the money, the money. So sometimes most people or some real estate developers project their own benefits ahead of the investors. So a lot of people have bought properties today, and I'll say they are not proud that they actually bought that properties. In fact, they cannot, it's like a case of, if I had known, I would have probably, avoided this issue. And one of the reasons why I'm having this live session today, basically, is due to the fact that I don't want investors to keep repeating the same. So unnecessary investments are investments that is not giving you a realistic return on investment. I did a video when I was explaining what return on investment are. I've done it before, and I talked about realistic return on investment, and I also spoke extensively about unrealistic or imaginary return on investment. Now, a realistic return on investment basically is that you bought a property. Let's say you bought a property last year for 40 million, and today the property is worth 80 million. Now, what makes it realistic basically is that when you are ready to sell that property, okay, there's someone who is ready, okay, to pay you that amount. Okay, it is when you have earned that money that you can say the return on investment is not just projected, the return on investment is realistic. So you have evidence to show that, okay, I bought this property for 40 million and today it's worth 80 million, or I've sold it for 80 million. So that is what I actually meant, okay, by realistic return on investment. In case you are joining this live broadcast, you can also just give us a double tap and like this video so that we can have more recommendations. Now, on realistic return on investment, basically investments that you can't easily sell or get the actual value, more importantly when you need them. And I'm going to be talking about how to avoid such kind of investment, because you see, the Lagos real estate market has grown, okay, beyond some certain levels right now. So if you are still investing and you are making mistakes, basically I would say it boils down to two things. Number one, it boils down to the fact that you are not working with us. Okay, I'm going to say this, or your realtor or whosoever is your real estate investment specialist is not vast and knowledgeable in some of the things. So how do you avoid unrealistic real estate investment? So what are those things? Please come help me carry this baby. She has refused to leave. All right, sorry for that. All right, so let's dive into it. What are unnecessary or needless real estate investment? Number one, a needless real estate investment is a project that the developer is buying or selling just to raise funds. A needless real estate investment is an investment that the developer is just selling, okay, just to raise funds. That's number one. Number two, a needless real estate investment is an investment that developer is just selling just to provide just gatehouse and perimeter fencing. It is needless. A needless real estate investment let me summarize it as, it is an investment whereby after several years of purchase, there is no significant activity on your estate or on your property. And it is quite sad because this situation right now is not becoming a norm. And for the fact that although there are regulatory bodies, okay, that have been monitoring and controlling the activities of real estate developers in Lagos. However, I would say that these regulatory bodies have tried to an extent, but we still need them to do more. And one of the reasons why I'm saying that we still need them to do more basically is due to the fact that a lot of people are into real estate investment today because of what they stand to gain, not just because of what you stand to gain. So any project that the developer does not have any intention or a meaningful intention of doing something on that property 2, 3, 4, 5 years after purchase is a needless real estate investment. And the reason why I'm saying this basically is due to the fact that in my years of operation, I've come to realize, okay, that when you buy a property or when someone sells a property to you, I don't know in any other state too, but as far as Lagos State is concerned, when somebody sells a property to you, okay, and all they do after purchase, okay, is just put it in perimeter fencing and a gatehouse, and nothing meaningful is happening in the property, it's a needless real estate investment. Because when people buy investments, they buy it simply because they have expectation of what that investment should give them several years from today. Now, that is not to now further undermine, okay, I'm not undermining the importance of land banking. Okay, a lot of people have said, okay, they share stories of people who bought Lekki Phase 1, who bought Lekki Phase 2, who bought Lekki Phase 3 several years ago, and today Lekki Phase 3 or Lekki Phase 1 or whatsoever location of that property is now an hot cake. Yes, that obviously, that possibilities exist, okay, but I should also, okay, stress this fact that people who bought Lekki Phase 1 or 2 or 3 didn't just buy and leave the property there. Number one, many of them after purchase went back to do the necessary paper documentation for that property. And many of them also made deliberate efforts to erect structures and of course create good access road that can make that property to become a demanded property in the market. So if we are talking about people bought Lekki Phase 1, people bought Banana Island, we should also further explain that people who bought after several years still come back, okay? They came back, sorry for that choice of word. They came back, okay, to do something meaningful. And today, all these areas we're mentioning today are what they are because of what? The deliberate efforts, okay, of what the seller and the buyer did on that property. And today, that place or that location today has become one of the most desired real estate investments. So when we talk about property appreciation, we should not, okay, rule out concerted effort of somebody who have sold to you. Now, that is not to say you should not, do land banking. No, I'm not saying you should not land bank, but if you must land bank, you must do it with someone who have track record of making your real estate investment become desirable. Because we obviously have to talk extent, because if I'm saying come and buy properties, the first thing I'm looking at basically is that I'm looking at the reputation of the company selling. Now, a lot of people today, okay, have found themselves in different unpleasant situations. And the reason for such basically is due to the fact that many people ignored the most important thing. More importantly, if you are investing in Lagos, the reputation. Now, a company with reputation basically don't just sell properties. They don't. They sell properties with a clear intention of transforming that location basically to something that is very, very desirable. I was at Amen Estate yesterday and I was seeing one of their videos. I think I saw a flashback video of how Amen Phase 2 used to be, okay? And they also did a recent video of the massive transformation that is presently in Amen Phase 2. I also saw a similar video to what was also in their Amen Phase 3. And men looking at those videos at their office, because I went to pick up a document for one of my esteemed real estate investors who bought properties from them. And looking at what I've seen in Amen Phase 1, Amen Phase 2, Amen Phase 3, I can categorically tell you that that company understood what realistic and progressive development should be. Now, I'm not advertising them, but I'm just driving a case study. And one of the reasons why I always give my utmost respect to this company basically is that I have discovered from their period of operation that they don't develop too many projects at the same time. They don't. I've seen instances of look at how it took them to develop the Phase 1. The Phase 1 was 100% completed before they started Phase 2. The Phase 2 was also 100% completed before they went to Phase 3. Presently, right now, there are structures and houses in Phase 3, and I can tell you, before the end of the year of this year, there'll be residents in Phase 3, and there's Tiara 1 and Tiara 2. Now, one of the things I've discovered from this particular company basically is that the company did not make acquiring plenty estates. Like in some cases I've seen where companies will have Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3, Phase 4, Phase 5, Phase 6, Phase 7, Phase 8, Phase 10. In fact, I've seen there was a particular time, okay, I was privileged to meet a real estate developer that was doing, I think, 5 building projects at the same time. And the question I asked this particular developer is that, how do you intend to live up to expectation if you are doing this massive project at the same time? So, using Amen as a case study, I believe many of you know them, basically is that As far as development is concerned, I can categorically tell you that that company basically is the brand, okay, that understood what development is. Hold on, please. Apologies, 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 apologies. I want to apologize for that. It was my laptop, okay? I actually forgot that there were some music that was playing on that. Apologize for that. I apologize for that. I apologize for that. Now, using Amen as a case study is because these people have defined development, okay, to what development should actually be in a society that values investors, investors' money. So you won't see them doing 10, 5, 15, 10 estates at the same time. No. They will face one, do it 80, 100% before they start another one. Now, an investment with that kind of person is guaranteed a realistic return because they have a meaningful and a factual understanding of what development is. Now, in contrary to some of the supposed development that I have seen, okay, in some locations, that obviously has been a contrary to some of these things, and I'm going to be talking about there. So, how do you avoid unnecessary real estate investment? Number one, prioritize integrity and track record. Prioritize integrity and track record. So I deliberately, because a lot of people have asked me, okay, so what would you suggest? Now, that is not to say it's only Amen Estate that is doing meaningful development. There are several other companies in that axis that are doing meaningful development, but I cited really Amen Estate because one of the things I've seen is that number one, the company is focused. Number two, the company is developing their properties. The company is not wasting on investors' money to do their project. They have they have 3 functional estates that you can walk in that is already residential. And one of the things basically is that they are not even as loud as many companies today. And if you have transacted with them, okay, if you have bought properties from them, if you have seen how this actress, Madam Funke Akindele, is working closely with them, you would understand that these people have what? Integrity. This is not a paid ad. I have not met the developer before. I don't know. I've not had, but I am a representative for them. If you are interested in buying any property from Amen and you want to go through me, basically I can go there and we look at everything together, we'll analyze, and of course, if you buy, you'll be glad you did. So that is from the perception of a real estate developer that is prioritizing development. Because you see, we really need to talk about this. So in investing in Lagos, one of the ways to avoid buying unnecessary investment is to look at the company's track record. Number two, the next thing you also need to do basically is that you must articulate your purpose for investment. Today, I've had or seen, okay, different scenarios of people regretting that they bought into a particular properties, they bought into a particular. In fact, I've had instances whereby a lot of real estate investors have personally contacted me and they said, this realtor said is a place I can start building in 2 years. This realtor talk about that is a place that I can start building immediately. In fact, most of the cases that I am more conversant with basically are cases of I have not even been allocated. Nobody is talking about my documentation and the likes. And all these things basically are quite unfortunate and sad. And it's due to the fact that I think there is a miscommunication or misclarity of purpose when you see, one of the things you need to understand if you're buying real estate investor, that was also another error. When you're buying real estate, instead of investment, I say investor, apologies. So when you're buying real estate investment, I have seen it in different scenarios that there is no clear articulation of what? Purpose. Now, the investor would say, I want a place where I can start buying, where I can buy and start building. Now, where the problem lies basically is that there are places in Ibeju-Lekki where you can buy and start building. There are places in Epe where you can buy and start building. There are also places in Bogije, Aboyaya, where you can buy and start building. There are places in Mowe, in Ikorodu, and other parts of Lagos where you can buy and start building. Now, the unanswered question basically is that location your choice, or you just told the realtor you want a place where you can start and buy? And what the realtor will now do basically is that the realtor will now be forced to look at what he has in his portfolios and say, okay, madam, massa, I have this particular location, you can buy. So what has happened basically is that despite the fact that you have communicated your intention of purchase, okay, and the realtor has given his own understanding of your intention, what the realtor now does basically is that the realtor will now give you his own perception of buy. And when most of all this problem now arises is when the investors now comes to see where he or she has bought with the intention of buying, and they will say it is too far. Yeah, so I really need to talk in as much as fact that most of these things are ignored, but we need to talk about this. So one of the ways you need to avoid unnecessary real estate investment is to avoid buying without making the realtor to understand your actual purpose of what purchase. It is very important to do so, because the moment your purpose of purchase has not been clearly articulated, your representative will just have this perception, and there's this place in the Ibeju-Lekki, and you ask them, okay, if it is Ibeju-Lekki is not a bad idea. How far is it from ShopRite? Now, realtors lie. So if it is about the realtor that tells the truth, majority of them lie. So I need to make this clarity so that you can understand. So let's say, for instance, I've seen instances whereby some people, a realtor told a particular investor that Bogije in Ibeju-Lekki is just 20 minutes to ShopRite, and I was like, as how? Apologies for that. So because they want you to buy, and because many of them are aware that you are not around, so their own recommendations basically may not match expectations. And that is why today a lot of people who have bought properties without the realtors understanding their purpose are now being forced to put that. And one thing I actually want every real estate investor watching this live video to understand is that it is not easy to resell property. What usually tell you, don't worry, if you buy this place million, in 2 weeks time, in 2 months, you can resell it 5 million, 8 million. If you now call that same realtor, okay, because most people now buy it, they buy into that idea that you can buy for 3 million in 6 months, you can sell for 8. It doesn't work that way with real estate investors. It doesn't work that way. And that is why we have more cases of resale. And a lot of real estate investors today are disappointed because what has been articulated to them has turned out to be what? To be false, to be a capital lies. So one of the easiest ways to avoid unnecessary real estate investments is to articulate your purpose of investment. You have to. And in some cases whereby the realtor is making suggestions, thank God for technology. At the comfort of your house, if you ask for the location, you can comfortably plot that location into Google Map, and from there you will discover, okay, the close proximities of areas. You can tell if that place is truly 25 minutes from Bogije to ShopRite, or if it is longer or shorter. So what Google Map does basically is that it confirms the information that has been conveyed to you. And another thing basically is that you can work with us. Basically is I've seen instances whereby we have unraveled a lot of mysteries in this industry. So so you need to clearly articulate your purpose of investment. You have to. So when the realtor say you can build, before you pay the company, go and check. If you are not available, plot the location in Google Map. How far is this place to your choice landmarks? How far is it from ShopRite? How far is it to Aja? What is the what is the closest shopping mall in that place? How far is it to school? Because these are some of the indices, okay, that drives good return. When you talk about capital appreciation, these are some of the factors that guarantees if your properties will be easily real estate investors. And a lot of don't understand this, and it's quite unfortunate. So you need to articulate your purpose, then your purpose of investment. Then what you need to do is to run an environmental due diligence of that location. There was this scenario or this situation that my surveyor and some of my team were able to resolve. And the reason why I'm making reference to this is that this woman bought 1 acre of land, and she was told that she can build an hostel in that location. So the reason why this particular woman bought was that she can build hostel, only for her to find out that that place right now does not even have a title, and that investment cannot serve that purpose. Now she's now looking for someone who's going to buy it. See, the purpose of this video is to understand that not all investments can satisfy your intention. And that is why it is very important that we talk extensively about this. We really have to address some of these situations so that there won't be repeated cases of unwanted purchase of property. So you won't be buying a property, and because of the fact that the property, simply because of the fact that the property did not meet your expectation, okay, you'll be forced. So we are trying to solve a situation whereby there won't be an unnecessary purchase. Okay, so that there won't be an unnecessary purchase. Now, what drives distress sales? Basically, it's due to the fact that people have bought and they now find out that what they bought is not what they wanted. So you need to do that. You need to look at that. So these are some of those things that you need to do to avoid on. And the final and the most important thing is that diversify your investments. Diversify your investment. I have tons of videos where I was explaining to real estate investors how they can get the best out of the Lagos state real estate market. I have several videos I've talked about that, but I will be sharing light in case you are just coming across this channel for the first time, or you are just coming across to see. I'm going to be sharing that in a jiffy. Now, how do you diversify? I think I'll be spending the remaining part of this live session to address that, and then I'll take a few questions before we call it a day. Now, why do you need to diversify? Now, you need to understand basically that if your intention in Lagos, or your intention of investing in real estate is to earn good return, the first thing you need to understand is that some real estate development company cannot afford to give you that return. They can't, because some of the clear indices that will guarantee that return that you are anticipating is solely dependent on the infrastructures that those companies or those developers are putting in that estate. And most of these, the cost of putting all these infrastructures are not cheap. So one of the reasons why I said that not all of them can guarantee the return is due to the fact that many of them are not even ready to put these projects and this development on site. So when you diversify, you know what you want. Basically, I have an investor who bought hectares of palm trees. She bought lands where she can build palm trees. She bought hectares. And when we had that conversation, she told me that even when I retire, if I'm in Nigeria, I need a place whereby I can just stroll in, watch my workers, harvest the palm trees, process it. And according to her, she told me she already has an existing market of who is ready to buy from her. So in a situation whereby you know that investor's intention is to grow palm trees, she's already looking at retirement. Now, do you know that there are some realtors that will still say she should come and buy a house that may not fit the purpose of that investment? See, the reason why I'm making this clarification is due to the fact that the industry is so vast that we have reasonable and unreasonable realtors. An unreasonable realtor will only project his own personal interest, while a reasonable realtor will understand the reason why you need to safeguard the interest of the investors. And that is why sometimes I've made these clarifications more than once or twice, that the person advising you is also critical when you're buying real estate. That is not to undermine or say I am more qualified, or I'm more vast, or I'm more knowledgeable on some of those investments. I'm not trying to say that. I'm not trying to demarket other people. What I'm trying to say basically is that if the investment you are doing today will fit in that future retirement plan you're looking at, is solely dependent on how vast is your realtor. How can your realtor look at your goal and articulated it into a meaningful real estate investment or a profitable real estate investment? Those things are very, very key. And like I said, not everybody can do that. And that is why it is very important. So you can look at agriculture. So the moment we had that conversation and she said she loves palm trees, I said, okay, fine. Let's buy from this developer. They have acres and hectares of palm trees. And the funny thing basically is that they will buy for you. They will plant for you. So you pay them for the planting and the processing. And they give you your return on investment based on the hectares of land. Now, there are some people that what they are looking for is cash flow. Because the reason why I'm diversifying, because if you want to avoid unnecessary investments, then you must understand some of the investments that are even profitable. Having access to some of this information will ease your decision-making process. It will. And that is why I've always, emphasized that you just can't afford not to work with a professional. You just can't do that. Now, when we now talk about cash flow is subdivided into two. We have cash flows that generate annual rental income, and we have cash flow that generates monthly rental income. Which one suits your what? Your investment plan for retirement. You have to look at that. Now, when we now talk about cash flow, you also need to understand is of paramount importance. You obviously cannot talk about, imagine somebody asking you to come and do shortlist in Ekpe. Does that make sense? Imagine somebody saying, come and do shortlist in Eleko. We know that obviously at the moment does not make sense. It will not fly. Imagine somebody say, come and do shortlist in Ijebu-Ode. Will it make sense? So when we are talking about cash flow, the first thing you must put into consideration is the location. The location. Location is very important. So you look at areas where cash flow do well, and you look at area where cash flow struggles, because you see, a good real estate investment in a wrong location will frustrate the investor. It will. Certainly it will. Now, because of the fact that some real estate developers have now seen that a lot of real estate investors prefer cash flow, now they are now building short-let apartments in a place that you and I know will not work. So, and this is why I've always said is that if you're buying properties, if you're investing in real estate, don't swallow everything your realtor, except if the realtor has been able to establish some levels or degrees of trust, and if the decision of that realtor have worked for you in time past, that's when you can say, okay, fine. But because of the fact that people are now saying, okay, because what actually guides the next project a developer is selling is what is raining. So they can say, okay, it seems everybody is doing cash flow. They will now collect money from your hand and now go to one thick forest, one thick village in Eleko, and they say they are selling an apartment there. Then you now have to be waiting for 2, 3, 4, 5 years before you earn your first rental income. That obviously is not wise. So when we talk about cash flow, it is very important that you look at location. In a place where the location does not tick all the boxes, my dear real estate investors, leave it for them. Because you see, in this our industry, everybody copy what is working, not what is proven to give results. So I may be saying, okay, I'm selling short-let apartment, come and buy short-let apartments, and this and this and this. I now go to some thick village in Lelenongbe and say I'm doing short-let. Now, at the moment, I'm not trying to undermine the location in Lelenongbe, but what I'm trying to say basically is like, no reasonable investor will say you want to put hundreds of millions to be. In fact, in Lelenongbe, that even there are some places whereby you see get hotel rooms of, let's say, plus or minus 3,000 to 5,000. You now say you want to put a short level where you want to be charging 20,000 daily. Who will rent it from you? So you need to understand that if a developer is saying I'm doing cash flow, what will determine if that cash flow will be successful or a failure is the location. And not every real estate developer understands location that works. What I've seen several do is copy. This one is selling short-let. I must also sell short-let. So let's talk about the annual cash flow. I've seen instances where right now Awoyaya and some places in, let's say, Awoyaya, Orimbanwa, of Ibejuleki right now have good prospects for annual cash flow. I've seen it. And because the reason why I'm saying this basically is that I have projects that I'm monitoring on behalf of some of my investors abroad, and a lot of people. We are presently working on a bungalow. We have not even done almost all the interior. We are still working on some part of it, and 2 to 3 people have approached me that they're interested in renting that, and I was like, wow, many years ago it was not like this. Now what has happened basically is that that area is beginning to wake up to what? To rental opportunities. So we need to talk about that. So if you are looking at monthly cash flow, this is where I'll be talking more. Now, when we talk about monthly cash flow, what is the reputation of the real estate developer that is handling my monthly cash flow? You need to look at that. Now, I advertised a property on my channel when I was talking about the Brooks End Apartments in Anthony, Maryland, and I got a lot of responses, okay, from prospective real estate investors. And I was talking with a woman who said, what if these people fail? Don't you consider it to be too risky? And I love it well when people throw questions like that, because when we're looking at things, we also need to do what we call a holistic overview of the advantages as well as the disadvantages. And I was able to tell this woman basically that these guys have a functional shortlet in Ilupeju on the mainland. They also have it in Surulere. They are opening another one in Surulere very soon. And I said, these people have an existing database of investors. So the advantage over others basically is that whether anybody rents your apartment or not, it will not affect the agreed return on investment. So these guys have been able to structure out a model that ensures continual payment of your monthly cash flow. And I was talking about that. So what they do basically is that they build the houses, they sell it to investors, they manage it for investors, and they pay investors. So these are some of the things. So if you are going to monthly cash flow, and that was why I also did a video of, I think for some viewers, okay, that are very conversant with my video, I did a video on Crestview where I was talking about how the apartment looks like, how these guys have been able to sustain that in regardless of the present economic condition in Nigeria. I give an instance and I said they are doing something similar in Anthony, and for 75 million with a flexible payment plan, you can key in and earn between 700,000 to 1 million naira monthly. And these are some of those things. So cash flow is a needed real estate investment, whether you are doing it annually or monthly. So I talked about Brooks End Apartments. If you're interested in any of this cash flow, because the purpose of this video is not to talk about investment, it's just to share more enlightenment. You can send me a private a message, whether in the comment section, and of course, if you have my WhatsApp number, you can also message me there. So these are some of the things you need to do if you don't prioritize your investments, if you don't understand the model, if you don't understand how to manage your properties, your investment will become needless. There are tons of estates today in Irejuleki that government have taken possession of them. These are properties that people bought with their sweats, with their hard-earned money, and it's quite unfortunate that these companies don't give a damn about how they feel or what happens, and it's quite unfortunate. And that is why we always come online to share more light, so that there won't be cases like this. So these are some of the things that is also. I'll be giving room. Oh, I have questions already. Okay, so I'll be giving room for questions very quickly, and I will be looking at some questions. So I'm opening my WhatsApp line. It's open. If you have questions, you can quickly send it to me directly. I'll be rounding up this live session very quickly. Okay, so I have a question here that says, what is the difference between the monthly cash flow and the rental cash flow? In one of your videos, you talked about bed space and other things. Can you please expatiate? Okay, of course. That's why I'm here. Okay, let me quickly talk about the monthly cash flow. Now, you can buy an apartment, because What is being used mostly as shortlet apartments, one studio, 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. Okay. Now, what happens basically is that the person selling those apartments are aware that you may not be in the country. Is either you have traveled or you are based in diaspora, and they don't want your apartment to be lying idle. Are you with me? Now, that is not to say that you cannot buy in places whereby people will choose not to use the apartment. No. What I'm trying to say basically is that doing a shortlet apartment is actually derived from this intelligent conversation from young developers that are just coming up, who have just looked at that, this is the old ways. If you go to some places in Abarabanje Soya, some places in Eleko, if you go to some places on the island and other places on the mainland, you find out that the owners of those residents, okay, are not in Nigeria, so they've locked it, the way most of our diasporans are, because of the nature of their work and their lifestyle over there. Some may not have come into that house 2, 3, 4 years because of their busy schedules, and of course because they are based abroad. So what these guys actually now did is that, okay, since this person have bought this property and is based in diaspora, instead of leaving that property to rot or leave it in unattended to, we can actually do something creative with these properties and pay the owner. That is what that monthly rental flow is. So what they do basically is that they will build the apartment, okay? You will furnish it. I need to say this. The investors furnishes the apartment, and they take possession of your furnished apartment. And what they do is that they will put it up for shortlet rentals. When I was giving instance of the Crestview, I decided to visit that Crestview so that I can explain how that model works. You see those houses, those rooms you are seeing in Crestviews are people's apartments. Yes, they are apartments owned by people. Okay, most of them are based in the diaspora. Okay, so people bought into that apartment with their money. So what Crestview is now doing basically is that Crestview, instead of leaving those apartments to be locked keys and not generating anything for the owner, they now decided to what? Seek the owner's permission, take full control of the apartment, and what they now do is that they put it on a daily rental. So someone asked me a question. When I was I think I went to Crestview on a Saturday, and I was asking the shortlet manager for the Crestview Surulere, and the man told me basically, I went there on a Saturday morning, and he told me that as at today they had to turn down some bookings because there are some people that they have converted shortlet to their own personal house. So you see those houses, some people can rent it for 1 year, some people can rent it for 6 months, some people can rent it. It's okay, fine. Now, and I was giving instance that the reason why many people basically prefer those shortlets is like it's an already made apartment. You are not thinking of bringing furniture, bringing TV, bringing everything. So you just move in, you have access to your TV, everything, internet, your Netflix, and you can stay there. You even have access to your own kitchen. So you rent and you pay daily. So what they now do is that after collecting rent for the entire month, they will deduct money for cleaners, your janitors, also clean, maintenance, salaries of staffs, and they pay you on a monthly basis on your apartment. So these guys have said enough of locking up houses for 3 years, 2 years, 4 years, or some people may even come home maybe just once in a year, and that apartment is other lock and key. They said, no, let's not do this way. Give us access to this apartment, let us run shortlet and pay you monthly. So that is how the monthly cash flow works. And when I was giving instance of that Brooks End apartment, someone was asking me, what is Brooks End? Of course, the Brooks End is the first shortlet apartment project in the Anthony axis of Maryland, and it's being managed by the same Crestview. So I need to explain that. Okay, it's being managed by Crestview. So what they are doing presently right now is that they are building units of 1, 2, 3-bedroom apartment. The 3-bedroom apartment is sold out. So what happens basically is that once the apartment is, as the construction is ongoing, people are buying units at the construction level. I know some couple of investors that bought for when it's sold for 60, some bought when it's sold for 65, some bought when it's sold for 75. Okay, and of course there's going to be a price increase any soon. So what happens is that you buy during construction. Now, when the project is completed and your unit has been allocated to you, what you are expected to do is that you will furnish the apartment to your taste. Now, credit will also give you an opportunity whereby you pay them and they do the furnishing, whichever one that is approved. They don't enforce it. Whether you choose to do it yourself, you have the opportunity to do so. Whether you want them to do it for you, you have to. So after you have furnished it, they take possession of the house and they do what? They manage it for you. They are in charge of guests, they are in charge of maintenance, they are in charge of everything. So what happens basically is wherever you are across the world, you earn monthly rental income for the fact that they are using your apartment for short let. That is how it works. That is how it works. Now, okay, I have another question that says, okay, now the thing basically is that if you are based in the diaspora, okay, and you want to have access to your apartment, yes, that opportunity is equally available as well. Yes, you can book your apartment, okay, but the model that credit is using basically is that it's strictly for short let, so that they'll be able to remit your money as at when due. So that's just one of the things. I hope you understood how the short let market works. So you buy into the project, okay, they manage it for you, and they pay you on a monthly basis based on the usage. Now, another thing basically is that the income is not static. Let me also quickly explain that. If you are buying into any of the Crazy project, whether it is the Brooks End or you are bought into any other thing, you should understand that there are two major periods in short let management history. There is the normal period and there is the peak period. The peak period is the period of I would say festivities, ember period, and like of course at that period they get to have more bookings, more money is made, and they pay. That's why I was giving an instance in the video. I said one bedroom normal period is 700,000 on a monthly basis. During peak period is 1 million. So I also need to explain that. So, but one thing is very certain, you will earn your rental income. I hope that has answered your question very well. All right. So if you have further questions, you can also ask. I'm still very much online. You can ask your questions for that. For those who want to ask questions, it's +234 802 132 7360. I'm going to say take it again. +234 802 132 7360. So that's my WhatsApp number. You can drive a question, and of course, if you choose to drop your question also in the comment section, that is also welcomed as well. So that is how. So for BetSpace, we don't have BetSpace selling anymore. I think when we sold BetSpace was last year, where some group of private individuals were building bell spaces, and that opportunity was available. Okay, so we're calling for investors because most of those bell spaces are built around the Yabatech, University of Lagos, FC Akoka, and of course there's also a private university called the Trinity University in Ibadan. So the challenges that most of the students in those areas have accommodation, because of course you know the way things are being done in Nigeria. The available bed spaces in Unilag can obviously not accommodate every student, because in Lagos, in Nigeria, many people like education, so and they prefer to stay in places very close to the campus. So there was a particular time, but if bed space opportunity comes, of course I will also make a video and then explain it to that. So the difference between the bed space basically and the cash flow is that bed space you earn annually, but for rental income you earn monthly. So that is that. Okay, if you have other questions, I'll be willing to take questions. And like I said, I don't want this video to be unnecessarily long, but if I'm unable to attend to those questions, okay, so what are the terms for investing in Brooks End? Okay. Now the way the Brooks End thing works basically is that people buy it at the construction level. As I'm talking to you right now, I think we only have just 6 units of 2 bedroom. I said 2 bedroom. apologies. We all have just 6 units of 1-bedroom apartment available, and the 75 million for 1-bedroom apartment. Don't ask me why. The economy is, and of course the location is on the mainland. If you have an opportunity to buy a 1-bedroom for 75 million on the mainland, trust me, the Ikeja GRA is above 100 million. So to me, it's still a good buy, and you are buying it for that price because it's at the construction level. Presently, I think they are almost rounding up the final phase of pile. Okay, that is why we have it there. So 75 million, and of course, you are not supposed to pay at once. There's a payment plan. If you are interested, just let me know. I would attend to some of your inquiries concerning that. So these are some of the important analysis I'll be talking about. Should I go for BetSpace for Brooks End? If you can afford to do so. Imagine now, the good thing about this shortlet management system is that I kind of prefer it to annual income. Let's say, for instance, now Brooks End apartment in Anthony, Maryland is paying you 700,000 naira on a monthly basis. Do the calculation. 700,000 times 12. You will realize that in a number of years, you'll be able to raise the capital that you use in buying into that project. You have made back your return, and you still make a return for life. And the beautiful thing about this is that it's transferable. You can say, okay, fine, I want to transfer this property to my next of kin. Of course, the legal team will definitely ensure that the proper transfer and handing over is done. So to me, if I'm earning on a monthly basis and it's guaranteed, I will not opt for an annual rental, regardless of what I charge. I will definitely not do that. So like I said, it's one of the innovation, okay, that some of these mainland real estate specialists are doing. So if you have been to some places like Yaba, people are building strictly for shortlets. If you have been to Ikeja, trust me, Ikeja is even the home of shortlet because of the Murtala Mohammed Airport. People are building strictly for shortlets. If you have been to Surulere, trust me, Surulere is also another notable location for shortlets. If you have been to Lekki, in fact, Lekki, when I can categorically tell you that half of houses in Lekki phase 1 down to Chevron axis, as long as it's apartment, trust me, everybody wants to do shortlet. And the reason for that is that shortlet has proven to be a good investment venture, and of course it could also serve as a reliable retirement plan. So to me, it's awesome if you can do that. So the one that is presently selling that I know of is Brooks End. We have 1-bedroom 75, 2-bedroom 120. So for the 2-bedroom, rental income normal period 1 million. Rental income for 1-bedroom 700,000. For, let's say, 1-bedroom normal period, peak period 1 million. For the 2-bedroom, rental income normal period 1 million, peak period 1.5. It's a good. Okay, ma, please address the location for shortlet. Okay, so it differs. Location differs, and it's based on the manager. For instance, there are people building shortlets in Abijo GRA, and do I think that place is a very good location for shortlets? Now, because of these spillovers of demand for apartment, I apologize, that's my son crying. I'm making the video at home because I'm too tired to go to the office. Baby Paul, Eba Migbe, okay. Thank you. Okay, so so we have places that are very good locations for shortlets, also on the island. And one of the things I've noticed about these locations basically is that not all locations are very good for shortlets. For instance, if I'm starting out shortlets in the Bejuleki axis, I would definitely not go to, let's say, after Eleko or before Eleko. I won't. So for locations, Abijo is fantastic. Shongotedo ShopRite is fantastic. In fact, there's this project called Giwa Gardens in Shongotedo. I think there was a particular time where I wanted to book a ticket to access that. The Giwa Garden is along that monastery road where we have that shop, right? And I think as at that time, a ticket for adults was, I don't know now, but I think it was around 25, 30K. And I was like, Kidede, just go and have fun and play with water. So for locations are very important. So I would not go beyond maximum Awuyaya if I want to do shortlists on the island. I won't go beyond. Even Awuyaya, I would still prefer to do, let's say, plus or minus rental apartments. Now, there are good demand for. Now, what is happening in this location basically is due to the fact that people prefer the spillovers of people who cannot afford. Currently, right now in Lekki Phase 1, 2 bedroom now is almost, I think, 7 million now. So there are people that cannot afford 7 million. If you are going towards that Abraham Adesoya right now, I think 2 bedroom right now is almost 3.54 million in Class Estate. So the spillovers of Lekki Phase 1, Abraham Adesoya, Shongotedo, Abijo, people cannot afford rental accommodations there, are now going to, let's say, Awoyaya, they are going to, let's say, the Bodije, in fact, Onosa is not, to me, is a no-no. The road there is very bad. So locations matter. So there are places on the island that is profitable. There are places also on the mainland that is profitable. Now, the difference now between the mainland and the island is, I'm still yet, okay, to see a short length management company on the island that will sell to you and help you manage by yourself. And that is why, okay, people prefer to do on the mainland, because mainland short length managers won't just sell to you. They will sell, they will manage, and they will remit. I know Urban Suits does that. They're doing that with their lodge and lodgelets. Of course, Crestville has been doing this now. This is the 3rd year. I know that very well. And of course, Flings. Yes, Flings. My brother, Mr. Bright, does that also as well. So they just don't sell. After you have furnished it, okay, they will also help you to do what? To manage it, and they pay you rentally. So it's a very fantastic one. So for me, that is a good retirement. So if I'm looking at retirement plan, and I want to do something that is sustainable, something that will carry me at old age, I will invest in palm trees, invest in all these cash crops, cassava, cocoa. I'll have large acres of land for that. I'll have apartments for shortlets, daily, monthly shortlets, and I also have apartment that I can rent. And of course, I have my own apartment also for myself. So that is basically one of the ways, okay, that you can create a sustainable investment. If you are interested in any of these short, whether it is Crestville, of course, the one that is presently available, we have Urban Suits, 2 bedroom apartments in Surulere presently is selling for 86 million on a 4-month payment plan. I think that one is quite massive. Then I also have Wells Apartments in Surulere. Presently, I think there's an Ilea promo going on. Of course, this price is subject to change in case you are interested. Of course, I can negotiate discounts as well. I need to say that. So we have Wells 2 apartments in Surulere. Now, Wells 2 is directly opposite Crestview. They are on the same location. 1 bedroom is 80 million. I don't know if there is a promo. When you speak with me directly, I will find out. 1 bedroom is 80 million. The studio, it's I think 45. Yes. Then of course, the one Brooks End. Brooks End does not sell at the same price because Brooks End is in the Anthony, Maryland axis. And for some of us who are familiar with the axis, you know that Anthony is not is like Anthony, Maryland. For some of us that are familiar with those axes, Anthony, Maryland, Ikeja, GRA those places are for high net worth individuals. So apartments don't sell. That's why I was even saying that Brooks End is even being I'll say too considerate for the pricing, because normally I know a developer that is selling within that same Anthony where this Brooks End is, and I think his 2-bedroom apartment is almost like 120 million. What am I saying? It's almost 180, 190 million. So I know that. So the price. So basically, so all these companies that I've mentioned, they won't just sell, they will also help you manage. So in case you have further clarifications about this, yes. Now, let me also say this in conclusion. It is when they have completed the structure and the project has started running that they will start paying you your monthly rental income. Because I also need to quickly explain this so that I will not be misquoted. It is when it is done, okay, that they begin to do that. So in case you are interested in any of those ones, let us talk. Once I leave this live session now, I'm going to monitor another project. And of course, I'll be exploring the Lagos mainland by the God's grace tomorrow. Expect a comprehensive video on rental opportunities on the mainland as well. So, how do you create a reliable investment portfolio, retirement plan? Have investments on the island, have it on the mainland. It's better. It's better because now why me I prefer the mainland basically is that 2-bedroom in Anthony, 2-bedroom in Ikeja GRA. In fact, I know someone, okay, a friend of mine who got a job along the Ikeja International Airport axis, and he rented his 2-bedroom apartment in that Maryland axis for 4 million naira. Yeah, that's how expensive, okay, these projects are. So there are some places on the mainland that are classic. They are for the high net worth individuals, and that's why, to me, I feel 75 million 1-bedroom apartment at Brooks End, trust me, is a fair deal, and it will never be cheaper than that. So if you're interested, 700 to 1 million is the projected monthly return for the 2-bedroom. Let's say 1 million to 1.5. It's not easy to put all these figures in my head, so in case I'm looking up and I'm forgetting, I apologize, forgive me. So I'll be calling it up. So if there are further questions, so I have explained why it is how to avoid needless in real estate investments. In case you have missed any session at your leisure time, please do well to check. And of course, if you have questions, I'm available 247 on WhatsApp. Drop a message and I'll respond. So I want to quickly say a very big thank you to everybody that was part of this broadcast. Thank you for all the support. I just went to collect. Okay, yesterday I was at Amen Estate. I went to pick an investor's document. I was also at Glory City to pick up. So it's been an eventful day. Thank you very much. See you in my next broadcast. God bless you. Bye for now.